Welcome into this week's episode of Untold Stories, a weekly D&D campaign set in the world of Elvoria. We're back with these wonderful humans after a week off due to scheduling issues to roll some dice, attempt some questionable accents, and hopefully tell a decent story. We do have a few announcements at the top of the episode, which, first of all, this channel is now somewhat sponsored by Dakota Irish, the dice and wood product for TTRPG maker based in Ireland, who also have a Bernese mountain dog, so...
They're the best company ever.
Best company in the world. If you want to get yourself some brand new dice for whatever new character you're making, or just want to stare at pretty math rocks, you can get 10% off any Dakota Irish order by using the code TheWelshDM. There'll be a link in the description to head over there.
My fancy new Ximori rocks.
Yes, indeed. Andrew being a lovely hand model with new dice that I'm sure are going to roll plenty of crits for the next few monsters that you go up against. We have some more announcements. Andrew!
Yes, so the next Kickstarter, Ramble and Rhoam's Realm of Wonder, is coming soon from the Balrick Press team. A new setting book of enjoyable adventures in mystical and fantastical domains. Inside is 6 wondrous demi-planes, 13 subclasses, spells, magic items, monsters, and more. You can follow the link in our description to be notified when the Kickstarter launches.
Yeah.
Ain't that exciting?
Yeah, it is. It's been a lot of work. Some of the art going into it is particularly fabulous from the guys at from the artists with Runic Press. We just got the subclass art back this week, and I'm really excited for some people to take a look at that.
And one more thing, we've got the Crit Awards, which are currently open for nominations for your favourite writers, artists, and performers in the TTRPG space. Just maybe.
Beautiful Moustache deserves a nomination.
So if you've come across anything you've enjoyed within TTRPGs in the last year, give that creator a nomination. If you've enjoyed Untold Stories, there are awards for actual plays and podcasts. There are also various awards for releases from Runic Press, or me, this year in particular. I'm assuming this was meant to say Gethin. Please check his scripts.
This enterprise.
This year, involving Vecna's Vile Book of Darkness, The Ranger Reimagined, and also any homebrew over on Dragon's Library. Nothing for the Barbarian Reimagined, of course, or the Sorcerer Reimagined, but...
No, because those came out before... before the cut-off.
And you can find those on the link in the description as well.
I've been toying with an idea of doing a reimagined druid. I've got an idea for a new version of spellcasting for druids.
Return of Ramble.
Yes, Return of Ramble with some interesting methods. Crit Award nominations, I think, close on the 31st of May, so you'll have about a week when this episode goes out. So get those nominations in. Doesn't have to be for us, there are plenty of other talented people to nominate as well.
But it could be for us.
Shameless plug. And lastly, as always in this game, we are making use of the Reimagined Classes, as previously mentioned, which are available on the DM's Guild as a bundle, costing less than $1 each, allowing you to embody Balrick, Lesley, Aderyn, Ximori, or whatever character you want to make up using those rules. And as always, NPC Art is provided by Erin Angelini's Art Venturing Guild. The character art was produced by @LiveDoodles, and the Chibi battle map art, if used, was made by WeTheDreamingDesigns, so do go check them out and support real artists today. With those announcements out of the way, I think it's time to continue telling our story. we pick up in the city of Xir, all of you having gone to bed on the eve of Tianlong, the 3-day festival celebrating Kelarashi, the Jade Dragoness through which this entire empire is built around. Having spent the evening sharing cultures and trying to teach Ximori exactly what a masquerade ball is. It is not to do with raiding and pillaging, as they first thought.
I still don't know.
While Tauri and Aderyn had a teaching moment, providing Aderyn with knowledge and lore on dragonkind ahead of the session with Cyric, the Bishop Lectori, at the cathedral in the morning.
Bishop Licks what?
Go on.
Bishop Licks what?
Bishop Lectori. I suppose, before we jump to the next morning, is there anything anyone wanted to do during the night at all? Or we can jump straight through to tomorrow.
Aderyn is just going to be going through the dragon lore she's learned from Tauri to kind of memorize it and hopefully not fuck up.
If that is everything, we'll pick up the next morning as dawn breaks and the cloud starts parting to allow the sun to creep in and bathe the city in light. But that's not what wakens you all. Instead, the thing that really picks your ears up is the sound of harmonizing chorus winding its way through the streets and up the canyon roads towards the Horizon Ward where you are. Ximori is probably the first person awake. You would have been the first to look out over the city below, and in the cresting dawn light you can see hundreds of people lining the streets, making a slow and steady pilgrimage like winding rivers through the cobbled streets, through the tall buildings, and a beautiful song of community, harmonized together and moving in a singular direction, just rises from the streets below into the air.
I'm going to head down onto the street. Already sort of in the doorway. And try and pick out the tune. To, join in.
It is a very recognisable tune to anyone who has grown up in the Empire. A classic hymn.
And I'll stand in the doorway, quietly singing along.
The rest of you rise to the melodic tunes of a city-wide chorus, and find Ximori standing in the doorway, wistfully watching the procession.
I'm gonna go up to Ximori and I'm gonna ask them, do you remember when you learned the song? Were you a child?
Yeah, it must have been, I think. I was very small, I think.
Do you remember?
Sort of. I think I do.
That's good. I find sometimes with these songs, the ones that everybody knows, sometimes it's like they just appear in your head, like you don't actually remember when you learned them.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember when I learned this, but I remember singing it.
In a happy way or in a sad way?
I suppose in a sort of bored way. If I'm thinking back to the earliest I remember it being. That was when I was quite young and I'd go to, the services with my parents and sing part of this and then I'd be allowed out to play.
Do you remember your parents fondly? Did you get along with them?
I miss them. I probably should have been better to them. I probably should have given them more of a chance.
Are they still alive now, or?
I don't know, but I left. Went to go and find my way in the big city myself and leave the little town life behind. I know, I was stupid. I was in my 70s and thought, I'm too much for all this now.
Still a chance then, if you ever want to go back to visit them. Never too late.
Yeah, maybe. They could still be alive, I suppose. I never really thought about them.
Anyway, is Balrick ready? Because he's got to look extra good today.
I've not seen him.
I think probably at that point Balrick will come. Alex, will appear.
I've now seen him.
What do you mean? I can't just wear this?
No, you can wear whatever you like. I just mean maybe brush your hair or wash your face.
From upstairs, in response to he can wear whatever he likes, there's a echo. There's a little shout. No, we can't. Coming from Lesley.
Balrick is ready in his full armour and cloak and all that, being like, it's just another day. Come on.
It's not just another day.
Alright. Are we wearing the stuff we picked up then, or is that being saved for the end?
That's all.
Alright, then what? Can I not just wear this?
You can wear this if Lesley lets you, but just spruce up a little bit,
Can you do?
Gonna need a lot of, but
I mean, we could probably start by brushing your hair. Just
yeah. Can I just make Balrick really nice and clean?
He's not a dirty guy. He's
Can I
probably
make
clean.
him
He probably
smell like flowers?
washes his face and stuff.
Can I make him smell like flowers?
Well, that's actually quite pleasant. Wow, it reminds me of the forest.
Yeah.
I like that.
why don't you come sit down? We'll see if we can brush some of the knots out of your hair.
No knots in my luscious locks. Clean hand through, just go smooth.
3 strands come out.
I mean, you've not seen it. you might be beginning to mould a bit at the back there. Just say.
Absolutely not.
I'm gonna fix Derek's bow that I bought for him a while back. I'm just gonna fix it up, make sure it's looks nice and fancy.
You have a crystal dragon wearing a bow tie. He's just turning into something.
Baby.
Well, with your morning ablutions and cleaning varying people up, you have the morning to do what you will. I suppose the question is, those of you who are wanting to research, are you wanting to do that in the morning or in the afternoon?
What time's the parade?
So there isn't. Well, let's clarify.
So the midday mass is what we're taking
the
forward
midday
to.
mass is what you're heading to. There are 3 masses. Each day during Tianlong. One at dawn, one at noon, one at dusk. Each one lasts around an hour, from people starting to gather to people dispersing. So by the time you've kind of got everyone dressed and out of the house, dawn mass has finished, and people have started to spread amongst the city and go about the various charitable acts that they are taking up.
research first, because after the mass, because there's going to be lots of fans, and it might take us a while to get out of there, and then it'll be really late. You might want autographs. So maybe we can research before.
Yeah. Who?
Was the public library open up during this? I thought it was shut.
Nope. Public library shut, but you have an in with the church. You're researching the Cyric. Who is wanting to go do research with Cyric? And those who aren't, what do you want? What do you get up to in the morning in between?
I think some traditional breakfast wine, right? It's a special day.
It's the beginning of a special day, yeah.
Yeah. Celebrate.
I'm gonna need Tauri as my assistant. Your assistant to the assistant of the assistant to the dragon.
I'm following you to keep you out of trouble.
That works too.
Okay. The rest of you?
So, make my way down. Well, sort of offer to, show Lesley what the festival's about. It's not as exciting as they hope.
As you go through the streets in this first morning of the festival, the first thing that really grabs your attention as to what's going on is everyone seems to be talking, conversing, and sharing gifts with each other. Specifically, what you see is a lot of people with small individual kind of beads of different stone. Quite a lot of that green jade, but you see whites and oranges, even some like cloudy purples like lilacs, with people essentially seemingly going up to people they know or respect and offering them a bead, which you then see gets threaded onto some hair of theirs. And you can see numerous people walking around town with like a dozen beads on a long thread of hair, or people with shorter hair having like multiple small tufts, each with 3 on, just bedecked around. And the city's taking on a vibrancy of colour as the people themselves take on that colour.
Is there anywhere that's like
find these beads.
Little beads? Yeah.
There are numerous kind of stalls out of simple design beads, just kind of left on the side of the road. Someone manning it from, you assume, the city, but more just to keep an eye on it. It doesn't seem to be like there's any transactions happening or anything like that.
Lesley's going to wander up and ask if he can have one of every colour.
Please. Just make sure to spread them amongst those you care about and wish to see guided in the coming year.
Naturally. Lesley looks around, like, looking at the beads, is like, oh, damn, so I wanted those for myself. I guess, yeah, how much? And,
Please, take.
I'm sorry, what? Oh. Lesley, you're a businessman, aren't you?
Usually. But today is a day of giving and community. I see no reason to. These are here for children, for newcomers, for people who are just experiencing the festival for the first time to engage and delight.
It's very beautiful. I would like to bestow my first gift upon you. And Lesley will pass it, like, from his cart, one bead to him.
That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. And you see he very quickly kind of threads it onto one of his long braids. That you notice that quite a few people seem to have grown out, like almost like a Jedi rat tail, in preparation for this, such that they can have them all on a singular thread.
It is convenient that I think everybody in our group has a substantial amount of hair. Yeah, I think Togrim, at least you're going to have like fun little bunches.
Togrim's going to have fun bunches. Yeah.
Togrim's would be shorter bunches, like spiking all over the place.
Proper hedgehog.
No, mohawk.
Proper Gareth Gates. it's a 3 different species.
That's a throwback, jeez.
Yeah, Lesley is gonna like be spending time like giving these out, throwing them specifically throwing them at Balrick, but I'm guessing that Balrick will be trying to catch them, maybe.
If Balrick's there with you, Balrick, I don't have a picture of where Balrick is actually at the moment. Sure. If Lesley went out and about, Balrick will have hiked along to make sure he stays alive. He'll take some. Put them in his man bun.
I guess Lesley will actually go around and like find the people we've interacted with so far to give out these beads to.
I'll take a handful of the ones that I like the look of most. That mean most to me.
Meanwhile, over at the cathedral, with the crowds from Dawn Mass having dispersed, there's still a fair number around the cathedral, seemingly kind of tidying it up after a few hundred people have stood in the plaza in front of it, sweeping the streets. You can see a handful of bedecked choristers of the church who have taken up a seat on a kind of circular small piece of carpet or rug within the plaza, where you can see them just meditating. Maybe 4 or 5 in the plaza. As you approach, you are shown to a side entrance to the main cathedral, where Cyric is, where you've been directed to meet Cyric. And you find him essentially in a wing of the cathedral with bookshelves reaching up into the vaunted ceilings, the rolling ladders along the bookshelves all along, and 3 large walnut tables with candlesticks on, providing additional light that otherwise is coming in from the open windows above. There is a calm atmosphere in here of the sound of the waves in the harbour, as you can see Cyric sitting at a table with about 4 different tomes open in front of him. He doesn't seem to notice your entrance. Oh. Sorry, didn't hear you come in. Welcome, please, come sit down. Didn't quite realise it was dawn. It seemed
Long night of reading?
Pretty much. Yes. Let's just say I got carried away. Are you enjoying the festival so far?
I haven't had much of a chance to look around yet.
Well, you must certainly partake. It would be a wasted opportunity for you to not learn how everything functions and to experience the full array of the festival since you're here. But I can understand why you would why you'd come here, of course. So, please, let's start. What do you want to know before we dig into the tomes? Maybe general things that I can answer initially?
I've brought along my assistant researcher, Tauri. She will be helping.
Excellent. Well, everything in this room is perfectly okay for the 2 of you to peruse and read into, so if we crack on, feel free to check the shelves and see what you can find that pertains to the information you're wanting. I do have some additional books and tomes from the vaults, which I will be delving into. I've only got through one so far, but time gets away from you when you're reading Ancient Draconic.
Indeed. I think the focus, one of the focuses, is we really want to know more about this prophecy.
Right. Yes.
All mentions, and also any mentions regarding amethyst dragons too.
Amethyst dragons. Certainly. Well, one of the things I did do is I sent someone to go to the Amaranthine Institute before they shut last night to gather some books. So we borrowed some more practical tomes on dragonkind rather than religious terminologies. I think both will be useful to you, but our content tends to be more on the philosophical nature of dragons and their relationship to Kelarashi and how we can embody them and follow their lead. But I wasn't sure whether that was everything you were wanting, so I thought best to get full array of information. I'm rambling. I am running on not a lot of sleep.
Doing perfectly fine. Right. Yes. So, Tauri, let's start looking through these. I'm gonna mentally tell Tauri my Draconic is not good enough to read any of this. Help!
You do find, while the majority of books here are written in Draconic, some are still written in Common, but yes, quite a lot of translations, because, Bryn.
I would have probably cast Comprehend Languages on both of us before we headed over.
Comprehend Language is not self, it's a touch.
Oh no, it is self, so I cast it on myself.
To be honest, I don't care. It's fine in this case. You can.
It's a ritual spell, so
you can cast it
in the middle of the sigil.
It's not that bad.
It only lasts an hour, so we'll have lost whatever time it took us to get here.
You would have cast it before you came, obviously, yeah. Probably lost about 15-20 minutes of it. You would have made good pace knowing that. So you'll have some time at least.
Yeah.
Cool. I suppose in that case, religion or investigation checks, or nature, I suppose. So investigation will be more broad. Religion and nature will be specific channels of whether you're going philosophical or biological, I guess.
I will just tell Aderyn, take your time and don't rush, and give her a thingy die. Cannot remember the word.
The inspiration.
Inspiration, that's the word.
How much is that again?
A D6, because I'm not level 5.
To be fair, none of you are.
No, it's specifically Tauri. We just did it without telling you.
Yeah, I just didn't tell Brian. Everyone else,
Yeah, that sounds about right.
If we eat Tauri, do we gain the levels?
You can try.
I mean, if you do.
There is only one way to find out.
Only one of you has a dark entity inside of them that hungers all the time.
Great stuff.
Well, just my.
Oh, Togrim.
What do you think?
That's a 14 on investigation to start.
Did you say religion, nature, or investigation?
Yeah, so investigation will be kind of broad, while nature and religion are more targeted.
I rolled a 24 for
On
investigation.
Investigation.
It was an actual 20 plus 4.
My brain was like, you only have +4, and I was like, it's intelligence and charisma caster. Okay.
That's what I've noticed at 14.
Aderyn, the whole experience is eye-opening for you. There is a lot of knowledge here that is more on the esoteric side, I suppose. I suppose Aderyn's love of stories, I guess, and the more mystical side probably lent towards those kind of books, while Tauri's more practical term probably went more to the Amaranthian Institute books. To that end, any minutes. Aderyn, you come across a book that kind of summarizes the imagery of dragons as far as the Jade Knight Church considers them, and breaks down each of the 5 crystal types into their distinct messaging and philosophies and what people can do to embody these dragons, or how they can take inspiration from these dragons to improve themselves and consider themselves. So what you get for Amethyst dragons as your primary interest is they are focused on the concept of balance across the world, ensuring a kind of, not necessarily homeostasis, but ensuring that no one individual entity or power rises to prominence, ensuring the good of all. They are also often used as pinnacles of knowledge and the desire to learn, which connects up to the Amaranthian Institute, having that purple colouring, kind of links in. And the other kind that especially the church will use for them is they have a they are responsible. People who embody the Amethyst Dragon or try to follow that example. There are sects within the church that will embody individual dragons rather than the overall. View it as they have a responsibility to the world. They have a responsibility to maintain it, to ensure it is left in a better state for the next generations. So in general, they're about studying the world to ensure that it is understood to be able to advance it. Crystal dragons, I'm going through alphabetically, center around positive energy, good emotions, the potential of things to come. They are hope and inspiration for people. So they are often used in a lot of messaging, especially during kind of darker times, which is why the presence of Derek within the city is seen as such a significant symbol. Those who try to embody the Crystal Dragon, their key messaging is enjoying life. It's all very well focusing on improving everything, but if you're not improving it to enjoy it, then what's the point? Emerald dragons are about curiosity and nurturing specifically. So it's they often connected to the rearing of children, maternity, that kind of element of encouraging the next generation to come through and be functioning and great new members of society. They are also within that, some other aspects is being watchful. They keep an eye on things. They are vigilant and ensuring that dissenters within the chorus are dealt with, essentially. That leaves the last 2. Sapphire is very closely tied to war. One thing you would have learnt, this is a decent role, is the Empire as a whole is relatively expansionist and often under the guise of religion. It is viewed as spreading the protection of the Empire to new lands and new people. Sapphire dragons connect deeply into that side of the Empire's messaging. They are about protection, but also about strength and about tactical warfare. So not often used in messaging of churches, more often used in messaging of crusades. You think back to being around the Stormcrests and the fact that their colour scheme is more blue than the green of the rest of the Empire, and you start to kind of make those connections. Those who embody the Sapphire Dragon within the community are focused about protecting each other. They want to make sure that other people are safe. So might be the kind of people who step up to bandits who raid a tavern or that kind of thing. And lastly, you have topaz dragons, who have a odd space within the religion where they are the mantle of death. But it is not viewed in a negative light. It is death and memories and the passage of time, and understanding that not everyone is immortal, and therefore we should do our best with the time we are given to improve everything the way we can. The other aspect that they're heavily used for is during funerals, and are focused on remembering the person that has gone past, rather than focusing on their death, remembering the time that they spent and what they achieved during life. Would that lead Aderyn down any other paths of interest? Or I can shift over to Tauri.
I'm gonna look for books to do with, like, because it's been a lot about, like, the messaging and, like, the meanings of the dragons. More about the meanings of, like, omens or signs, or, like, symbology that could appear in dreams, or, like, in visions, and that sort of thing.
Okay. Roll me a... Yeah, let's call this Arcana. And just track that result. Don't forget you've got a Bardic if you want to spend it. Meanwhile, I will jump over to Tauri, who was focused more on the Amaranthian Institute books. With that impressive investigation, you're about to get a hell of a low drop. Basic stuff on dragons. They are powerful ancient entities that have existed for as long as records go back. They were once more prominent about the world, but have since kind of retreated from being such a prominent figure. You get a list of some infamous dragons from recent history, at least post-awakening. You have Aximis and Vodella that nearly burnt down Tibera. You have Kerlalon of the Shining Peak on Kalon Barros, a continent to the east across the sea, who is particularly fond of mages in the region. You assume this note was added by someone who visited the Institute afterwards. And Ondan Damos, the Burning Hearth, who is listed as a friendly dragon and not much of the context. Other elements of stuff that you possibly already know. You have 3 different families of dragons, and are usually kind of painted with the same brush within those families. From a scientific point of view, chromatics are evil and despoilers, and metallics are good and protective, and the gems are kind of sitting in this middle ground of watchful and taking sides where necessary. But the book goes on to detail that it's that kind of connection is less to do with the biology of the dragons and more due to connection to divinity. You find yourself with a 24. You're fairly certain you're reading something slightly heretical, at least as far as the Empire would be concerned, because it talks about other deities being parents or progenitors of dragons. And the prevailing message within the Empire is that Kelarashi is the mother of all dragons. So chromatic dragons are generally evil, or viewed as evil, because the most famous ones throughout history agreed with Tiamat. They viewed Tiamat's messaging as the right approach to how dragons should behave. Within that also, I'm not going to go fully into it, but basically any content within D&D books, you understand dragons on that level.
I just as an FYI, any of this that I would have found interesting or want more deeper, want to then research later, I will be using the cantrip to copy words.
Yes.
Because 250 words a minute is a lot faster than I can write.
That's fine. Yes, you can take at least like cliff notes within that kind of thing. more information that you get. Dragons are inherently magical beings. They are able to exert an incredible influence over the landscape and locales that they settle in. A common understanding of dragons is they settle in regions based on their color. Red dragons settle in volcanoes. Silver dragons settle on mountain peaks, kind of cold, windy ones. This book, or one of the books that you pull out, seems to actually say it's more accurate to say the climate shifts to match the dragon. The dragon's raw magical potential alters the landscape around them, causing eruptions of lava to happen and a volcano to form. Your piecing together of that is dragons in their nature are extremely powerful and connected in some way to the material plane. There are powerful magical entities across fiction and world lore. Demons and devils are unknown entities. They don't show that level of influence despite being of a storied power level. Within that, you also learn of a group known as the Ordo Dracanae. Shadowy is the wrong term, but a reclusive group of knights who were said to guard dragons and ensure that their hordes were not bothered by mortal thieves or dragon slayers. This group sprung up in the early days of the Jade Knight Church, pre-awakening even, but has since faded into obscurity. It's unclear whether they still exist. It's possible, but with the overall retreat of dragons, they too seem to have faded into the shadows, as it were. And lastly, I mentioned that you essentially found a heretical book. In the back is a hastily written section, not in Draconic, instead written in Elvish in the back, which implies it's not of necessarily Empire and it goes into kind of essentially a creation myth of dragons. So it goes into, it re-highlights two gods that... Oh, quickly roll me a religion check. Let's see whether you would have known of these dragons, these gods.
30.
30-20. Two gods that you've not heard of before, called Bahamut and Tiamat. Dragons are the children of these two gods. They are the creations of these two gods. And by extension, it is theorized that dragons themselves hold a fragment of divinity with their bloodline itself, and arguably are the first ever beings of creation. When the material plane was then created, they were made the guardians of the world, and as such given power over the world to ensure its protection. And from there, the two families of dragons came from this and took on the appearance or nature of their parentage. So you have metallic dragons tied to Bahamut, you have chromatic dragons tied to Tiamat. And while they went about their business in different ways, they still very much tied to the purpose of their purpose was to protect the material plane and the gods' designs for it.
Different ways.
Chromatic dragons were more the aggressors, so they went after dangerous creatures that perhaps threatened what the gods were intending, while the metallics were more protective and seeking to help facilitate the existence of humanoid mortals. So when the gods departed, dragons were made stewards of the world. This is deep lore at this point, right? This is pre-Age of Ascension content. And dragons went to war with giants shortly after the gods originally departed. And you're reading this confused by the nature of gods, because this is talking about gods in the definitive sense, like the gods. And for you, like, you know of there being more than one god, but the gods is an interesting term.
It's gone from being the god and the gods with a small g to the gods with a capital G.
Yes.
Is the best way to put it.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Yeah, so that's a rather extensive write-up that you have obtained.
It didn't go into details about where the gem dragons came from then. It just mentions these two gods.
This passage focuses on the origin of dragonkind.
That's fine.
You don't find anything in the book to contradict the understanding that the gem dragons are creations of the Jade Dragoness. There's nothing that actively disagrees with that. As to the purpose of their creation within that, unclear.
That's fine.
Aderyn, what did you roll on that Arcana check?
15.
15 or 16, sorry?
19.
Oh, 19. Jeez, okay. Yes, okay. You start diving into books that kind of Tauri points you towards from the Anglican Institute in terms of that concept. Dragons in dreams, I mean, dream interpretations vary wildly based on culture. Within the Empire, it ties very much into the messaging of the church in that aspect, and very similar to that. But with that concept, you do kind of think about things a little bit in how amethyst dragons being knowledge and responsibility, and the imagery, especially of eyes. Like, a lot of imagery on dragons and dreams is like the passage of dragons and dragons leading somewhere, or something like that. Eyes is much more specific, and in dragons' nature to be guardians of an entire plane of existence, eyes are tied to watching over. They are keeping an eye on someone, quite literally. So you very quickly kind of come to the conclusion that if I see eyes is something watching me, if something's watching me, why are they watching me? And then connecting into what worries you with that, though, is the fact that you have two different imageries of eyes in dreams recently. You have had the dragon eye for a very long time. That's been with you for years. And perhaps what you've learnt here is somewhat comforting to that, in the knowledge that if it is amethyst, it is watching over you to ensure some kind of balance and consistency in the world, to make sure something doesn't happen that would otherwise cause danger. The other eyes, if eye symbology stands as something watching you, you have no idea what else could be watching you, especially with that many eyes. And maybe, I think with a 19, your understanding is maybe that one dragon eye is watching you to make sure you're not being watched too closely by the many eyes.
Okay.
At which point Cyric just kind of pops up. Ooh, this is sorry, got completely lost there. Have you found anything interesting yourselves? I think I found something that you might be interested in here. You were talking about wanting to know more about the prophecies. This isn't specifically the same, but it's from the same collection, the Liber Profecti Carmenus that I mentioned previously. Similar collection, possibly by the same hand. It's unclear. This is a copy, so checking handwriting is all but useless to me. Previously, we spoke of the end times messaging and how that's a fairly common parable. This is titled "He Comes." There are some annotations in the margins, but it goes like this, and excuse the lack of poetry, it's not my skill. Victory claimed in ashen freedom beneath a tower of black, he comes for our silence. Bloody-handed hunters in streets of cries and mercy, he comes for our pain. From black wolves undying, dead fires igniting, he comes for our vengeance. Dragons walk on holy streets, hidden gems upon the mind, he comes for our souls. Now, that sounds relatively ominous at my reading. However, there are notes in the margins which do make it slightly less concerning. It tries to tie things to events in history. I don't think any of them are necessarily particular. I mean, bloody-handed hunters are everywhere. I mean, turn to a hunter, they get their hands bloody hunting deer. Like, it could be literally anyone. I suppose the interesting thing here is obviously dragons walking on holy streets. We've had Derek walking amongst the cathedral, essentially. So that's where I think this kind of comes in. But the annotations seem to suggest that this is a prediction as to the return of Rethmexia, Pureheart. Implying possibly in times of relative ominous nature that once again our salvation will come. I mean, some of the annotations here mention very similar notions during the awakening of towers dotted this region. So Tower of Black would be fairly common. Cries and mercy in the streets, awakening, horrible time, people praying all the. So it's possible that this is just mad ramblings of someone viewing his original arrival, but based on the fact that it was written after the first emperor departed, some, at least the writings here, seem to suggest that it is a prediction as to his return.
It mentioned fires igniting.
Yes, dead fires igniting specifically.
We've heard of a lot of fires igniting in the area recently.
Again.
That would be an interpretation, I suppose. Any undying wolves with them?
We can investigate.
Did we hear any wolves on our travels or anything like that?
I think back. Wolf howls occasionally, but more in the distance. You didn't come across any undying black wolves. Let's put it that way.
I'm gonna mentally tell Tauri. Does Pebble count as an undying wolf?
I don't think so. How can something die if it's not alive?
We've seen the wolf.
Is this the manicure? He isn't a werewolf? What are you talking about?
Because I know Emma's going to ask, I have just put the He Comes poem in chat.
I was going to be asking.
We will also be putting all of what you said to Tauri because I can't spell any of the names.
What names did I say? Oh, the dragon names.
All the fucking dragon names.
Okay, that's fine.
Big love. Thank you for He Comes.
Aximus and Modella, campaign guide. Lesley would have grown up on that story.
And Lesley would not know how to spell it.
I think you can get those two. The other one's fair.
Bloody-handed hunters in the streets and cries of mercy makes me think of the religious nutjobs. I'll say as much in slightly better terms. The very one side of a political spectrum kind of thing. Religious people in the previous city that we decided to hightail out of quickly.
100. Balrick is a hunter.
Yes, but not in the streets and not with cries of mercy. Hence the reason why I thought of that charming fellow who decided to kill that chain member.
So, a lot of things that could be interpreted as part of the prophecy. What would it mean if this were the time the prophecy alludes to? What would that cause in the Empire? What would happen from it?
If the first Emperor returned, child of Kelarashi herself, I'm not one to theorize, but it would certainly be an interesting time. The Emperor obviously is preparing for a new crusade. With the right spin from the right people, it could be viewed as a sign that the crusade is ordained and the right actions to be taking. It could be viewed as a sign that it's the wrong thing to be doing and dangerous times are ahead. It could be viewed as a sign that the Empire has lost its way in the song and needs new guidance. The biggest question, of course, would be, what does it mean for the existing royal family? Emperor Damri and his son, Malachi.
Do you have any books with more information on the first Emperor?
Almost certainly, pretty much every holy book focuses on his initial crusade to cleanse Fathaline of demonic incursion. Yes, hold on. He stands up, closes the book because it's a relatively secure book that, no offense, you shouldn't be reading. And as he does, a scrap of paper falls out from it.
I say nothing.
I'm looking at it, but I'm like, because Tauri doesn't say anything. Aderyn's like, okay, I need to not make it obvious that it's fallen out, but she's like, she wants to grab the paper as soon as.
At this point, your comprehend languages both would have dropped.
Yep.
You do speak Draconic though, Tauri, don't you?
Yes, yeah, I do. It was more. I also speak Dwarvish if anything happens to being Dwarvish. It was more so that if we ended up seeing, the Elvish script, for example, or something that was in, was in Draconic but a different dialect of Draconic.
There is quite a lot of archaic Draconic in here.
So rather than me, I could probably understand it in time, but rather than tripping over myself trying to understand Latin, for example, compared to English.
You are shown to some books about the original Emperor, Rithmexial Pureheart Teostan. Emma, before you have a go at me, it's in the campaign guide. He appeared during the Awakening in the city of Avasar, basically at a point that everything seemed lost. There was basically a demonic kingdom set up in the west, and it was rapidly spreading east. Pretty much most civilizations had fallen. During that time, magic had gone rampant, and a society built on magic crumbled incredibly quickly, and basically you had refugees left in the rubble of burnt cities. He arrived to the prayers of a prophet called Manaz. That was what it was, Manaz, which is, to those of you within the Empire, the doctrine of Manaz is the primary doctrine of the church. It's the one that focused on arcane magic being dangerous and needing to be controlled or just cut out of society entirely. So, yes, he arrived at the city of Avasar, also known as the Last Hope. And when he arrived, he essentially arrived to a standing army of survivors. These were the people who had nothing else to lose, and so had gathered underneath the banner of the Jade Church as it existed, and then were given a hero to follow. In the period of years after that came to be known as the Pure Heart Crusade. He united the people of Eastern Fathaline to then march west upon the armies of the Abyss and Hell. The Crusade pushed the Fiendish armies back all the way to the western cliffs of Wernin, the cursed Grand Province, as those of you in the Empire know, where victory was achieved. He took the crowning name Teotzedan and established the city of Andamon on the shores of the Tyson Sea. And from there, the Empire grew. Initially still under his banner, before he eventually essentially called time on his existence within the material world. He went to what is now known as Fate's Call. It is the Imperial City in the Hyath Range, the other side of the Brecklin Fields to where you are now, where he basically left behind the divine artifacts, which are the symbols of the Imperial family, and ascended back to divinity. Since then, the Imperial line has remained unbroken since, to the current Emperor Damri Teotzedan and his heir Malachi. There are some particular fables that are well known within the Empire. You have the final fall of Baron Obel, where Rethmexiel destroyed a city-sized citadel of devilish legions. The unveiling of evil, where he revealed demons hiding amongst the populace. The ambush, the wings of freedom, the saving of Marion, the sinner's redemption, and the jewel of Swek Dira, where it is said that Pureheart jeweled the Lord of Hell himself. Word vomit over.
I'm gonna tell Tauri, you're taking notes of all this, right?
I've got shorthand notes for everything we've discussed, kind of just going on in the background.
You need to talk to the others about all these things.
Did the chap who we're with have to go somewhere when he went and got that book?
Not anywhere outside of the room, but the room is like long enough. As I said, it's got 3 fairly large tables on. It's not a full public library, but it is an open library. So like,
but
space.
Cool. When he got far enough away, I'd probably grabbed that bit of paper discreetly.
Make me a sleight of hand check.
$17.
As you go to you successfully pick up the piece of paper.
I don't read it, I just pick up the paper.
That's fine. I had already rolled a perception check for him, so I knew what the DC was. To see whether he would have noticed it. After showcasing that book, like working through it with Aderyn, Cyric does turn to you and just goes, "Did I see a piece of paper fall out? Did you happen to pick it up? I can't seem to see it on the floor."
I don't remember seeing a bit of paper.
Roll me a deception check.
I have no. I'm gonna let from your hands.
I'm going to use inspiration.
Sure. That's what it's there for.
What even is a paper?
Which is good because I have a 4 and a 20, so deception makes that a 26.
Even with his very good very good insight, he does not do that. He rolled a 15 on the die. That's not going to get high enough.
What even is a paper? There's no paper here.
Oh, must have imagined it then. Very well. What time is it at this point? He kind of looks up into the ceiling where you can see essentially a sundial on the ceiling that's using the light from the side windows. Right. Oh, it's nearly noon. We should be getting ready for noon mass. I do apologise to cut this short, as it seemed like we were getting somewhere. But I do have other business to attend to, and I'm certain you would want to be at mass to support Balrick and Deck. So perhaps we should move along. Those of you who have been partaking in the festival, the crowds begin to make their way to the cathedral and varying churches as small chapels around the city. It does look like that while pretty much the entire congregation made its way to the streets around the Cathedral of St. Astragine for the first mass. For other ones, people are comfortable to go to their local chapels within the city rather than everyone attending the cathedral. Still large numbers are, but you begin to feel the presence as the tide of people begin to head in certain directions.
Lesley is going to turn to Ximori and Balrick, who might, I guess, know more about this than he does.
Balrick has no idea.
Oh, turning to Ximori. You're with the dragon, man. Do we follow these guys? Do we go to the big one? What's the...
I mean, yeah, Balrick's got to go to the big one anyway, so might as well go.
Yeah. I got to find the main guy, I guess.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Come here a second, Balrick.
Yeah, right?
And what I would have liked to have done while we've sort of been going around is that, there's all the normal beads that have been put around anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like to have found as we left this morning, taken a stone from the house. And just with the tip of one of my with the hook of one of my axes just been sort of carving a hole through it.
Okay.
It's not as nice as I didn't know there were other beads going to be here, but I made this one for you.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's really touching. Okay.
You're I appreciate you,
I'm very touched. I really am. That's I don't have one for you.
And don't worry about it. Yeah, when you're up there, having all the people look at you, but it's something to, remind you, I guess.
Hey.
Something to focus on instead. A distraction, And I'll have some play with my Lesley scarf.
And if you get nervous up there, what I find always helps is looking out at the crowd, at all those people, just imagining them naked.
We have very different tastes.
That we do. Good, less competition for you.
I mean, I think we don't go. The crowd's going to sort of carry us themselves.
You're kind of moving with the crowd already, the general presence, and you are very quickly brought to the plaza in front of the Cathedral of St. Astragine, where a number of people have been looking out for you, Balrick/Deck. It does help that as people kind of notice that you're in the crowds, they start almost giving you a berth, and allowing you to move through fairly smoothly through the crowd. So you end up essentially getting there ahead of the majority of the crowd as people move out of your way to allow your passage to the cathedral. Where you are then met by Seostrin, the paladin who spoke with you 2 days ago now? Yesterday? Who notices your presence. Excellent. I'm glad you arrived. Enjoying the festival so far?
It's a lot.
It is, but with good reason. Please come this way. The Pariarch is ready to talk to you. He turns around with the soft clank of his armor as he leads you up to the steps to where there is a lectern at the top of the steps to the cathedral. In general, the cathedral is not used directly during the festival, just because the sheer volume of crowd won't fit inside the cathedral itself, so it's better to present to the entire plaza. You are met there by Pariarch Abracus. He's like, oh, excellent. I'm glad you made it. Hello, Derek. I'm glad to see you here, resplendent in the sun. Now, as discussed, it is simply a... Derek is a symbol of hope and positivity to come to Dothras, to the Dragoncrest Coast, to the Empire as a whole. He is a symbol for us all to follow and be inspired by. There is very little else I am expecting of him. I will, of course, lead the mass. I don't expect much of you as someone not of the church, but please respect what Derek means to all of us. That's all I ask.
I'll keep that in mind.
Well, you are welcome to stand atop the dais if you wish with Derek. Any of you are. Or if you would prefer to be less in the spotlight, you are welcome to join the congregation within the plaza.
I'm not going to leave Derek alone.
Understood. At this point, Tauri and Aderyn, you basically are making your way out of the side door when you can see quite clearly Derek catching the light, kind of rainbows dancing across his scaly form, and the rest of your friends kind of at the top of the steps in the plaza.
Ah, you made it then, finally. Having fun so far?
I mean, we've been, say, the rest of the festival, so, yeah.
Nice. Have they got many beads themselves?
Do we have many beads?
I will let you roll a single die of any size you wish, based on essentially how much effort you put into acquiring beads, which is basically showing how much community spirit you've showed in terms of helping people on the streets and doing stuff like that.
D12 for Ximori.
I rolled myself a D20 because I was like, I don't probably have a choice. They just come up because Derek's there.
That's very accurate.
So I got 16. And I'm just like drowning in them. I'm like, ah.
I've got 5.
Togrim has 6.
Ximori's and Lesley's are on a separate strand. They're on one of the Padawan ones. The rest are just like... every other one's on like one of them Padawan ones. The Ximori and Lesley's are in his bun.
Part of the fun.
Lesley has been flirting with everybody, like trying to get some beads. Like, he's seen this as a competition more than anything. He's handing out compliments, he's handing out beads. I rolled a D100. Lesley's full of beads. Got 54 beads.
Didn't even consider that D100 is a dice.
Yeah, she got me there. I'll give her that.
every time Lesley moves his head, he's got one on his mustache, like on his beard. It's going crazy. Every time he turns, it's like.
What Lesley hasn't realised though is that all of the beads were just to get him to leave.
No, I think a fair number are entertaining to Lesley. What I'm envisioning is Monica in that episode of Friends in Barbados.
Yep. Exactly that.
Lesley hasn't worn them before, so it keeps smacking him in the eyes. Like, what he does is he uses it as a flotation device. He's just like, oh my god, ow, right, how's my tooth? How's my teeth? And just walks up to them.
I thought you said flotation device. Like a,
No, it's quite the opposite. If they fall in the water, they're being dragged downwards.
Leslie's using the time old, hey, how's my tooth flossing technique.
I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use it on him.
Is there something in my teeth? Would you like there to be?
Well, as the crowds gather, just for knowledge, for when the explosions start, where are you all standing?
I will just point out I will have given a inspiration to Balrick before he heads off by himself.
What did that look like?
I'll just give him a pat on the back and say, "It'll be fine."
So inspiring.
You don't have to have it, you dick.
Yeah, I choose not to be inspired.
Your inspiration's shit.
That's
No,
fine.
I
I'll
appreciate
do cutting. I'll do cutting words on you later when you try and use it.
I'm gonna start heckling.
Exactly.
I genuinely like the simple nature of Tauri's inspirations at times. Nonetheless, a huge congregation has gathered in the plaza before the Cathedral of St. Astragine. It seems that word has gotten around that there was a special message to be given out at this noon mass. Crowds are pressed together, swaying gently from side to side like a field of tall grass, harmonizing with choral tones, hums, and other notes on the light autumn air. Banners flutter in the breeze, long tails of dragons of all the different gemstone hues winding in the wind, the tapered ends of the flags leading the eye to the top of the wide marble steps, where, at the top, double doors of the cathedral lie open. Soft blossoms from the cherry tree inside scatter out, caught in light gusts of wind, fluttering around the large crystal lectern placed in clear view of all who have gathered. After the songs rise to a beautiful crescendo, the Pariarch takes their place at the top of the lectern. The harmonizing quiets down to a slow murmur still echoing around the plaza, the sound of the choir still catching, almost contained within the holy space. And he begins a prayer, leading them into song, as all prayers within the Jade Knight Church are. It is a unique experience for a lot of you, even those of you within the Empire, to be at a congregation this large on such a austere day. Perhaps only Togrim would have experienced anything of a similar size, being in Andamon, where the Jade Basilica is. The overall spectacle of it kind of takes you away at some time, and you only kind of fade in and out of bits of his mass speech. When we're faced with darkness, when our lives are troubled and our community threatened, we must remember that we should share in the times of trouble, so that we shall share in the new ages and hope after. For in times of fire and smoke, in times of division and fear, in times of war and glory, shall the Drake crystal appear, shall the giant symbols speak, shall the desperate souls darken. The immortal and fallen will rise to herald a new age. Many of you will have seen the first promised signs of our new age, of unity and an immortal people risen from our failures. A shining symbol of her guidance, protection, and promise for a bright future for us all. walks among our very streets. A drake of radiant crystal. And at that point, he motions to Dek, and Dek is subtly encouraged to essentially step to the edge of the lectern, the dais, so that everyone can...
I'll nudge him forward. He understands me.
Dek kind of shuffles forward in his large form, and at that precise moment, whether by divine providence, clerical manipulation, or fluke of weather, there is a clear break in the cloud, and a ray of godlight shines down upon Dek, capturing and refracting across his scales, casting fragments of rainbow to scatter across the marble dais, and there are audible gasps interrupting the low murmured harmony that was still ongoing as people behold, in their eyes, an icon of their god made manifest. Come, join me in song as we welcome a guiding star to help us through the times of worry, safe that she watches us still and always. And he raises his voice and begins a unifying song of hopeful tomorrow, and through community, the world will shine brighter in the end. It is a moment that will go down in Geodothras history as a you had to be there moment for the populace. And every individual person will have their own story as to what they saw in the light reflected from those crystal scales, and the words they heard within the harmony, moving them onwards. This might be remembered as perhaps the most infamous Tianlong festival in Geodothras history. Eventually the mass does end. Elad has a few other messages, but eventually the crowds disperse, the mass is ended. The crowds head off, whispering their stories and asking each other what it all means. And Elad steps away from the lectern and approaches you, Balrick. I am thankful in your willingness to allow Dek to become the symbol of hope that the people need, and as at least I believe was his purpose. As always, as I have said before, the resources of the church, so long as you are in Geodothras and my will leads us, are yours. If you need accommodation, if you need resources or guidance, you must only come, and it is yours.
I appreciate that gesture. I'm glad we could have been of some comfort to your people.
He nods, and with the various other priests around him, enters back into the church. He gives a subtle, kind of, not subtle, but a soft pat on the head to Dek. It's reverential. It is like the lightest of touches, almost that he is himself almost afraid to touch a pure symbol of divinity as he sees it. And then you're just kind of left at the top of the stairs of the cathedral.
And
That was really something, Balrick.
was it?
I mean, it felt it. Yeah, out there.
I suppose. It's a bit much for me. Some flashy, big.
I don't know, back to some proper work tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, I'd enjoy that. Proper work. That'll feel like helping people.
Yeah. But, like, I'll sort of, like, look around, like, see if there's any, like, you know, small kids, big eyes staring at Dirk. Like, I think, you know, you're helping someone already. I'll sort of give a slight nod towards kids staring at Dirk.
Just don't feel like it, you know?
Hey, don't ever underestimate what being a bit of light in a lot of darkness can be. Now, can we go? I'm feeling itchy again. I don't know. Maybe it's the soap in that place.
Hey, what's wrong with you recently? You just don't like it, do you?
I don't think I'm used to being this clean.
We'll have a talk with Aderyn. Maybe she's able to fix that.
Yeah. Maybe it's these fancy clothes.
Maybe.
Is there, as you leave the cathedral, once again that itch eventually fades, and a satisfied sigh echoes inside your mind. Is there anything anyone else would like to do on the first day of Tianlong?
I don't know why everyone's wearing beads. I'm gonna go up to Lesley.
Oh, Lesley will immediately like pour half of his beads off and start like threading them onto Aderyn's hair.
Did you buy all these?
No, I was given them. They are. I think there's some sort of symbol of love and sharing and giving and all of that. But don't they look lovely?
You got all these many people to give you a love favor? I'm impressed. Your flirting has hugely improved. You've gotten so many.
For every one person I talked to that gave me a bead, I did get slapped by 3, so it's just like a little red mark on his cheek.
I thought that was a blush.
It's the oldest form of blush, my friend.
I'm quite liking this this festival. Did you have a good time with your books?
Yeah, we found out some things. I'll talk to you later, but I think I might have a lead on the thing I was searching for.
Well, that's fantastic, and it's a lead that maybe we could use to keep us out of the sewers.
Speaking of which, as you are leaving the Plaza Ximori, you hear footsteps coming up behind you, and you like
spin around, swift kick to the stomach.
The hairs on the back of your neck stand up immediately before you turn around and see Halib, the gnome chorister you'd spoken to before. I thought it was you. I just wanted to let you know that the sewer excursions will be meeting in the Populi Forum following Dawn Mass tomorrow.
Okay.
We haven't had.
Whereabouts is that?
It's in the it's in the northern quarter. You can't miss it. It's the largest square there where most of the forums happen. We haven't had a large number of sign-ups this year, slightly below what was expected. But there is word that there are some rather major blockages underneath the western ward that the city infrastructure individuals say may need strong and confident types to deal with what's ever down there. Usually blockages tend to introduce dangerous creatures. So it's possible that may be where you're asked to go if you and your compatriots are willing, of course.
Yeah, fantastic. So west, right?
Populi Forum in the northern quarter first, where
okay.
individuals will be given their responsibility.
North then west, not west then north.
Yes.
Okay.
Pleasure to
Yeah,
see you.
thanks. I'll reach into my pocket and take out one of the beads I picked up earlier.
Oh, thank you. She shuffles into a pocket on the inside of her robes and hands you back a small white bead.
Thank you. I'll put it onto one of my various hairs.
And she leaves and heads back to whatever she was doing before.
Mm-hmm.
We can, as I say, jump forward to the evening if there was things people wanted to discuss today, or we can jump forward to tomorrow. It's up to you.
Once we're back in the accommodation, I would have a look at that bit of paper.
Certainly. You doing this in private or with everyone else? Just to know.
I won't necessarily hide it, but I'm not
Leslie's
gonna.
opening the bottles of wine and Balrick stoking the fire, and you're just in the.
Yeah, I'll probably sit down in
the living room. Yeah.
Yeah, pull out my notebook, with the bit of paper that's inside it, type thing.
Sure.
While Tauri does that, I'm gonna tell everyone else about what we found out about the prophecy. Little poem.
You think it's all real? That Balrick might be not Balrick, but like Deck might be, the great savior of all this, and
Well, maybe a lot of the signs seem to fit, and the fires, that can't be a coincidence.
I mean, the fires have happened before, though. I vaguely remember them last time.
Maybe this means we can do something to help them, stop them forever.
Maybe.
But that sunlight coming down on Dope was I don't know, it made me feel things.
He was beautiful. Never appreciated it before. Yeah, pretty guy.
Kind of it's just kind of been, like a weird, scuttly little thing.
I think we should do something. Balrick, what you say about actually helping people? I know the fires aren't really our business, but maybe we do have a responsibility. For whatever forces are watching us, maybe we need to try and help and bring some sort of balance.
After the last few times we've tried to help people, I think we need to put better effort in.
Yeah. Best foot forward tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Aderyn. Would you mind, I don't know, can you, use, your, cleaning thing? Or, I don't know I think it might be the soap or these new clothes. I'm not sitting comfortably. It gets at the end of the day and I'm just yeah.
You itchy or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's some impressive magic.
Did you actually do it or are you just taking the piss?
That is an important question these days.
You know what? I'm gonna roll for it.
Where is this itch? Because I might have a home remedy if it's in some areas.
Need a paladin with
Now it's sort of all over.
Ugh.
Well, I was gonna say if I roll above a 10 or below 10, and I rolled exactly a 10, so no.
halfway house.
So let's say that I did actually clean you. Did that help?
I mean, I don't feel itchy, so yeah. Thanks. Oh, and I'll take another one of the beads out of my pocket and give it to Aderyn. Thank you.
Got loads of beads. Did you all just?
Oh no, these ones, the ones I got to give to people. These are the ones I got. And I've shown my 6 beads that I got.
Well, look, I didn't get a choice nor mine. Mine were just graciously added to me.
What do the beads actually mean something beyond what Lesley told me?
If you know, like showing your appreciation of people, you know, you give them to people that you respect or that have helped you, that sort of thing.
Oh, like friendship beads.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's nice.
Tauri. Dig out this small scrap of paper and you kind of look at it, and it is basically illegible scrawl.
It's illegible.
That is not fun to read. It's like being written by a doctor. But you do kind of persevere on it, and you very quickly realise you can't read this. It is draconic, but it's not. It's not any draconic you've read before.
I'll spend 10 minutes.
Spend 10 minutes in cast comprehend languages. Cool. Now, this is where we get into the fun of how I determine comprehend languages. Comprehend languages, as a spell, doesn't work on every language. It works on every language that the writer of the spell at the time, not as in Tauri, as in the designer of the spell, was aware of upon it being created. So it covers most of the breadth, but like ancient historical ones, it can struggle with.
So it's like how Google Translate doesn't do every language.
It's not perfect, it becomes relatively literal or just fails to translate some words entirely. And that's what happens here. Like, fragments of it become clear to you. But this is almost a proto-form of Draconic. You've heard of, in the past... Tell you what, let's make this a history check. Give me a history check.
23.
You're rolling on fire today.
Hey, I didn't use advantage earlier.
You are aware of something called Draconic. You are Draconic. That is not Imperial Draconic, and it predates modern Arcana, essentially. So Arcana that was modified post-Awakening, which is the Arcana that you know.
Yeah.
Which is why your spell is having trouble translating this. You essentially, what you get is the title. And the title is simply a fallen empire.
Can I still use the copy spell?
You can.
It all?
I will also say, Balrick, with your passive perception, you are the first person to notice Tauri, has cast a ritual spell and is staring bemused at a piece of paper.
You're struggling there?
Well, considering that this is written in a draconic language that didn't exist when the Empire was here, or at least is old enough that it will have been forgotten for centuries plus. Yes, I'm fine.
All right, so you're really struggling there. Oof. So won't it? That's like an old draconic, not modern draconic.
It's not even old draconic.
Maybe Derek can give a shot, or I can. I'm at draconics. I think I've got a rough. We've said I speak it roughly, but that's because I don't know. When I met Derek, I got I just knew it a bit better. Maybe he can tell. He can tell me.
No, I'm not.
Don't know how well a baby's gonna read, but
You hand the piece of paper to Balrick.
Once I've copied it across, yes.
It is.
It's
literally as you look at it, because you can still get the structure. It's 4 lines. But I will also give you this with your with how much you've looked at it. You can see that it is a torn piece of paper, and B there is ink on the tear.
Yeah, so there was clearly more.
Correct. So it copies insanely quickly.
Yeah.
In the original language, and you hand it over to Balrick. Balrick,
I'll have an attempt at reading it.
make me an intelligence check.
I will again give him a Bardic inspiration die as I hand it over. Just go.
D6, yeah.
Also, Bryn, I meant to do this at the top of the session. By the way, you have inspiration for all of the kind of teaching you did at the end of last session as Tauri. So add an inspiration after the one you spent.
It's back in there.
I'd forgotten to mention it at the top of the episode, and I just wanted to make sure that you were rewarded for.
Who got the inspiration? Bryn got the inspiration.
Bryn got the inspiration for the Tauri stuff.
With Bardic inspiration, that's a 15.
15. You understand this perfectly. You don't know why. You have never written or read Draconic in your life. But
yeah, I'm just going to speak it with. Yeah. Ooh.
In common, or as best as your brain is translating it, it reads.
I will translate it out as you say it.
When Crystal walks on holy ground and Violet watches broken minds, when dead fires claim new life and black wolves stalk ancient woods. And that's it.
Is Aderyn in the room listening as well? When Violet watches broken minds.
I'm gonna say, like, while this has been happening, like, I've like grabbed Togrim and Aderyn, been like, can you come give me a hand? I've got an idea, and I need your tools for this, probably, Togrim.
Okay. Yeah. What's up?
Like, I want to make some. You know, we've all got beads. Oh, Togrim, bead.
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 But like, none of these are gonna like fit deck. But there's like a bunch of quite nice stones outside. I think if we can like drill a hole in one, we can like make it like a little like ribbon, like put the ribbon through the hole. But I need Aderyn to pick out a good rock because we'll probably pick a bad one, and Dirk doesn't like me much.
Excellent idea. This is a great way to get Dirk to like you. Okay, I will help you pick. Can I look around for rocks?
What rocks do you find?
I'm imagining there's, you know, like a little like alpine garden in this ridiculous holiday home we're in.
Almost certainly, yes. That's definitely there.
To pick out the smoothest rock I can find. It's a nice rock.
Like a little bit flat, sort of like disc shape, so it'll make a nice little like, you know, like let me show myself up here. You know, like with an ascot neckerchief.
Yes.
Like, it's like the
an instant from getting that.
if anybody was in the scouts, if you remember, like the little like scout woggle. Basically, it's like a
Yeah.
thing that you put both ends of the ribbon through and then tie it around on that. So like, yeah, something like a little bit flatter to like make a good backing for the bow.
Yeah.
And then Togrim, if you can like drill a hole like through the
Sure, I can. Yeah. I don't know if a drill comes in the jeweler's tools,
Oh yeah, definitely in jewelers.
but I would be carrying those anyway. But I've got the right tool for the job skill anyway, so I can
I
magically
know this is
create.
probably like a
any
hand
tools.
crank drill, but I'm imagining an electric drill just.
just, you know, like one of those like big like ones that
Pile.
No, what you're missing is what he actually does is he uses the basically he uses Pebbles Hard. You know, like those or the one where you can just like use the same battery and like half a dozen different tools, like in the lawnmower, in the drill. It literally just pulls out the heart.
To this day, my favourite imagery with Togrim is whenever he pulls out a random new set of tools, it's the idea of his head and shoulders in his bag of holding, just throwing shit out.
Pulling stuff out, yeah, rummaging around. And then to put it away, that pile of stuff is just swept back into the bag.
So that's a human leg, Togrim. Togrim, that was a human leg.
No, it wasn't. No.
I think there's a person in there, Togrim.
Yes, I can drill a hole through it to attach your ribbon. Yeah.
That is done.
I think you should, if you're gonna give it to him, Ximori, I think you need to bow really respectfully. And first you should turn around 3 times. Set
3 times.
the spot. Yeah. Yeah, you have to like twirl 3 times on the spot, and then you have to drop to your knees. And
I have to twirl 3 times.
Yes.
Okay.
In the same spot. And then you drop
In the
to your
same
knees.
spot.
Yeah, you drop to your knees, and then you
Right.
have your arms out, and then you drop your head to the floor as well. And
I
then,
headbutt the floor. Right.
yes. And then you look up again, and then you present your gift.
Okay, I think I've got it.
Perfect.
Togrim's just going to be there with a very bemused-looking smirk on his face, but he tries to hide it and doesn't just laugh at Aderyn or the thought of Ximori doing all this in a minute.
I'm loving Aderyn's trying to slowly teach Ximori how to twerk without letting them know.
I have to drop it low?
No, like it's hot.
Oh, like it's hot, right.
At which point, the 3 of you with a very pretty rock head back inside to where Balrick and Tauri are having an intense conversation over a piece of paper that's torn.
While that was all going on, I will have literally quizzed Balrick on, like, right, what does this bit say? Like, and literally got, like, dictionary kind of started, and then, like, also then got, like, letters to try and match up type thing in the notebook.
You're trying to Rosetta Stone it.
Yeah, basically.
I'm not particularly helpful because I'm not a scholar, but I am decently well read.
What will happen is, like, literally every night now, like, I'll come back to it and see what happens, because we don't know how he's getting it. So it could be that as his understanding of it progresses, it could change what we've got.
Mm-hmm. Certainly.
I love the idea that you're saying this out loud to yourself as you stare at your Rosetta Stone picture. Yes, we understand him.
Yeah, Balrick's. I want Aderyn to walk in as he repeats again, because I assume she wasn't in the room, that the violet eyes in broken minds.
What did you just say?
It's a part of the poem. It's what was it? Crystal dragon roams the streets, and
Chat.
Crystal walks on holy grounds, and Violet watches broken minds.
Is that from the page that you took, Tauri?
Yes, and it is entirely separate to the one we got told from the other book.
Do you think this is like a true like the undisclosed kind of prophecy?
The title of this bit of paper is A Fallen Empire. So it means one of 2 things. Either it is a prophecy, and we're right in the middle of what is going to happen, or this happened before.
Well, what do you think it means by broken mind?
I mean, I'm looking at Crystal walking on holy ground, points to deck, and what colour were the eyes? Have you ever been open about the eyes? Actually, you told us all that you've been seeing eyes.
Oh, so.
I mean, she does have a giant purple eye on her chest.
I don't think we've heard anything more than that.
It depends. How much does Balrick avert his gaze from the massive cleavage?
Balrick looks and is like, "Oh my god, when was that there?"
I didn't even notice.
Broken mind. We know Aderyn's mind's messed up, though, don't we?
We do, but
Wow, a hell of a way to say it.
And Crystal walks on holy ground. I'm going to point at the
Real
violet eye in the
sensitive
chest and be like, "Watch his broken mind." Dead fires claim new life. Well, we've got the dead fires going on.
Yeah,
And black wolves
not
stalk
broken.
woods. and I'll look at Ximori at that. One of your things was wolf-esque, wasn't it, Ximori?
Okay, first off, she's not broken. And, like, I'm not a wolf.
Alright, if we want to...
Pebbles
I'm not really all that black, am I? I thought I was mostly red.
No, in your foot, when you get your hands... I don't know, I'm just... If they don't apply to us, they don't apply to us, it's fine.
I do see
Prophecies aren't always
violet
that...
eyes.
I get the violet eyes bit, but, like...
You've been seeing eyes?
Yeah.
The worry...
I've not been seeing eyes.
One prophecy by itself, yes, I will always take with a pinch of salt. However, we have two from two different places. One in a language that only Balrick can read because, I suspect, of his connection with Dirk.
What was the first prophecy? I'm completely.
Yeah, have you guys actually told us that bit?
I will then pull out the poem that I copied. Victory claimed in ashen freedom, beneath the tower of black. He comes for our silence. Bloody-handed hunters, in streets of cries and mercy. He comes for our pain. From black wolves undying, dead fires igniting. He comes for our vengeance. Dragons walk on holy streets, hidden gems upon the mind. He comes for our souls.
I'm hearing a lot of overlap there.
Do we not think it's a little bit narcissistic to hear a prophecy and think, oh, it's about us?
You're just upset because you're not mentioned.
It would be weird for there to be a prophecy about you guys and it wouldn't include me, if we're being honest.
I mean, it doesn't include Togrim either, so, you know, don't get...
That's true. I don't think this is about us. It couldn't be. Right, Togrim?
I mean,
Yeah,
unless something really
it makes no
horrible
sense
happens
to
to
me.
you two.
There's nothing about tiny little men with amazing golden hair. There's nothing about their little wolves, massive wolves.
Just mention wolves.
Well, to be fair, something absolutely horrible might happen to you two tomorrow, and that might be why you're not in the prophecy.
Well, that's why we're not going in the sewers, isn't it?
What if it happens because you don't go in the sewers and those that go down the sewers survive?
Yeah.
I don't think the prophecy doesn't say that they end up stinky.
It doesn't say they end up clean either.
It doesn't say and stinky black wolves stalk ancient woods.
Yeah, but the other one's talking about streets of crying of mercy and pain. Do you want to be in painful mercy streets?
I've been to some clubs where that's quite the attraction.
If the prophecy is about us, then what are we supposed to do?
Doesn't seem to give you a very solid ending. Maybe worth trying to find out the rest of this poem.
So
That's the poem we have in its entirety. This fall of an empire.
Need to find more of that bit then, I guess. Maybe that. Oh, you distracted me. I've got to give Dirk his gift.
You got Dirk a gift?
Well, we all got, beads and... Oh, Tauri. Well, chuck a bead over at Tauri.
Tauri got forgotten.
The one bead I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It gets hidden in the white streak of her hair.
Right, so you said... I sort of like approached Dirk like... Right.
Roll me an animal handling.
Roll 3 times. What am I rolling?
Instant animal handling.
solidly down the middle. Can I get a little extra bonus from my friend? Or is this not a... Oh wait, no, I actually have animal handling as a skill. Never mind.
I think this is all on you. I don't think I can help.
12.
12. Derek is confused.
I spin 3 times on the spot.
Derek is more confused.
Right, next I headbutt the ground and I just slam my forehead down into the stone.
Derek looks at Balrick in extreme confusion, like, what?
And then just licks the top of Ximori's head. Just...
My hands are sort of like out to the sides. Just sort of slowly push myself back up again. Slightly concussed.
Does that feel better?
Stone. It's for your and then like my broken draconic, I'm just like, it's for your necklace.
Can you roll me an intelligence check for Derek, please, Chris?
12 minus 1 for 11.
11. Okay. Derek just kind of like projects the neck forward.
I'm going to untie the ribbon.
Oh no, you're putting it.
Put 2 ends of the ribbon through the stone, then tie a slightly clumsy bow. So
Does he also turn around 3 times and like...
No, Derek is not a dog in that, so Derek just goes... Derek goes, this is my spot, I'm taking it. But it's nestled under his giant chin now.
Yeah.
There anything else you want to do this evening?
My usual draconic lessons.
Roll me an intelligence check.
Probably roll worse than that. No, I didn't. What's my intelligence? I have no intelligence. 17.
17. You're picking up some words. Your vocab is growing.
My vocab is growing!
You've got parsnips down.
Ananas.
Okay, in that case, we will jump forward to tomorrow morning with you all, by intent or by physically dragging them through the streets in some cases, in the Populi Forum within the Northern Quarter, where maybe a few dozen people have gathered. There are a handful of Scale Guard in attendance. Interestingly, they are in highly polished armor, but there's those of you who listen intently pick up a few of them complaining that they had to polish their armor because they're going into the sewers, so what was the point? But while there, a member of the church right, firstly, thank you all for coming. Obviously, not the most pleasant of activities that you can do to help the city out during this festival, but it is perhaps the most fulfilling and community supporting. There are a number of damaged sewers across the city that we are aware of, that we're going to be asking you to go down and kind of clean and tidy up, and where possible repair them. Most of you will be doing it towards the anchorage, making sure the flows out into the harbour are working fine. However, we are looking for a group who are perhaps more willing to engage in riskier pipelines over in the
that's
western.
us.
Excellent. Thank you very much for volunteering, and that's a decent group. I think you shouldn't need any additional support. Well, in that case, let's not waste any more time so you can get back to the surface before dusk. Those you 6, if you head over to the Chapel of Calming Winds, Sergeant Revere Jin will meet you there and get you access into the sewers there. Here is this, and he hands you a small kind of writ that's just to highlight that you are the people who are to be meeting him there. As a last note for those of you before you head off, should you wish any respirator masks or healer's kits for this endeavour in case you want to avoid ingesting anything or you do get bitten by a rat, they are over on the desk over there. Feel free to take as many as you need. They are free to supply.
Lesley and Aderyn raid the entire. I want all the clean things.
Lesley's wearing
I'm all good, I
mask.
say. I say, fitting in my
I would
sex
like to remind visitors to this space that this is a community project and multiple people do also need those.
Lesley puts on his dog mask.
Aderyn takes 6 respirators and somehow makes a hazmat suit.
Just Togrim to stitch them together.
I'm gonna make me some gloves.
boy.
How many healers? Respirators, it's up to you whether you use the mask or the respirators. They function do the same. One of them just is kinkier.
Wearing my dog mask.
I'm not wearing, I'll wear a
I'm
respirator.
wearing a respirator. My
I
head.
spent my last bloody gold on these. I'm wearing my goddamn mask.
I think I'll take a healer's kit. I'll be one of the designated healers.
I'm wearing.
I feel like if I used my normal way of healing, not good.
I'm wearing ugly travel clothes I got told to wear a few days back. I think there was Ximori's.
You're wearing my clothes, yes.
Ximori's out in just a box,
Ugly,
just the
ugly
boxes.
rags.
ugly rag. And
But you're wearing the eelskin dungarees. I'm just back in my regular clothes.
yeah, and like hair's tied back, hood up, gloves on, respirator mask.
Where's that caricature artist? I need them to capture this moment.
Other side of the courtyard.
Fucker.
There is a receding-haired, ponytailed human man with a rather hooked nose who's just there with an easel, capturing the moment.
Yeah, no, Lesley will walk up and be like, I will give you 3 gold if you can take a perfect portrait of her like that.
Roll a persuasion check.
Oh, come on.
Middle of a festival where you're not meant to be taking money. The DC is not super
How
high.
attractive is he?
The DC isn't super. It's a receding hairline ponytail. Fairly reedy man. Depends how desperate you are. He's not
Not that
bad. Wouldn't be your first choice.
No money.
He's a man of similar age to you.
Good sir, I would love to share a drink with you on my return, triumphant return, were you to capture this moment. I have
Leslie's,
fine wine in my bag, which I will not take into the sewer with me.
You have a deal.
Leslie's greatest challenge, an age-appropriate man.
With that, you head off to. We just have Balrick picking up a healer's kit. For clarity, this healer's kit can also be used to cure diseases. Traditional healer's kit can't,
Yeah,
but
actually,
it can.
I
be
do
used
actually
to
think
cure.
Lesley
Is
will
the
take one.
traditional one? Is Lesley getting one as well?
Yeah, I think 2 is probably better to have.
Is it? So it's a. What does a healer's kit do normally? Does it just 1 point?
No, I think it's if you have the feat, you can stabilize, but you can cure poisons with it. So this can cure poisons and disease.
No. So without the feat, you can stabilize.
Yes.
It's with the feat you can heal.
Yes, that's correct. So you can stabilize with this. You can also cure diseases with this in case anyone picks up anything in the sewers that could be. I think this has an additional element on top.
We got diseases in D&D. People actually using them.
When you go into a sewer,
We're all going to get cholera.
well, Leslie's got like 6 already.
It's like Mr. Burns, they're all just trying to work at the same time.
You head over.
Indestructible.
You head over to the Western Ward, and you begin to understand that you've largely stayed to the nicer areas of the city. Meeting Tarquin helped out on that. The Western Ward is the poorer side of the city. The buildings here are much more densely packed. They look far less stable than the other ones elsewhere. And just in general, while it's not destitute, it is lower class than the areas you've been frequenting. It looks better than you probably expect it would, considering the last day or so. But you come to the Chapel of Calming Winds, a rather simple-looking chapel tucked into a small side street with an alley running down the side of it. A nice, large, open, circular mural adorns the front face that has a jade dragon kind of chasing its own tail while also letting sound funnel into the church. And outside you see a stout dwarf in the traditional bronze scale mail of the Scale Guard, just kind of standing there, just kind of looking up and down the street, keeping an eye on things. A plaited black beard with still a few beads left in it from yesterday, just kind of there with a hand on a spear.
Hi.
Hi.
We're people for the sewers.
You got your writ?
Yep.
Nice and simple then. So just to give you a little bit of knowledge as to what's going on here, the sewer in this area has had weaker than expected flow, considering the populace in the area, which implies that there's probably a blockage or one of the pipes has cracked and started leaking into the under soil, which isn't great for any kind of foundations or anything of the like. Basically, follow the flow of water till you find the blockage, clear the blockage, probably have to deal with some kind of gremlins or critters down there that have taken up refuge in the blockage because they tend to like those kind of more stagnant pool areas, and then come back up, be celebrated as upstanding members of the community, and carry on with your festival. Any questions?
Okay, great. Is there anyone, keeping watch on us, in case something goes wrong?
No. To be honest, we're not expecting it to be that much of a problem, but I will still be here, keeping an eye on the grate that you head down, such that I can open it for when you come back.
Right, good to know.
Do you have any concerns about going down by yourself? Do you want?
Oh, no.
Okay.
But what sort of creatures
Just wanna know.
normally in these areas?
Sorry?
What sort of creatures are we talking about? Like big mosquitoes?
Less mosquitoes, more your kind of vermin, your rats, and you can often end up with giant kinds. There's still elements of that around here. They're not exactly friendly. Insects and the like, kind of like your centipedes and stuff. That's the usual stuff you get. We've had stories, although I've never seen them, kind of like Scale Guard around the campfire stuff, where occasionally people get attacked by bodies left in the sewers. To be honest, I just think it's people trying to save face when they panic because they find a body and they say, "Oh, attack me," and all that. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. Usually just the new folks that we haze by throwing them in the sewers and getting them to fight a rat or two.
For when we come back up,
Yeah.
where's the nearest bathhouse?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
preferably with a masseur.
well, I mean, there's the River of Jade's Bar and Resort that's up in the Northern Quarter. Is it in the Northern Quarter? No, Southern Quarter. Yeah, Southern Quarter. Now, towards the Alabaster Lighthouse, I think, is where it is. It's a fair trek from here, but you'll definitely get a massage over there. If you're looking for something clean and dirty, you can probably just head to one of the nearby taverns and ask them for a room for a couple of hours and a bathtub.
Yeah, no, that'll get the worst of it off, then we can go somewhere fancy. Okay.
Can't believe it. Ximori's offering to have 2 baths in a day.
Hey, I'm usually quite a clean person.
This feels like something that I don't need to be privy of.
No,
Entrance
you should be here.
to the sewers down this alley. You come in, or do you want to spend more time up here?
No,
Let's go.
Right, let's get this over
Might
with.
as well get it over with.
Yeah,
Cheery,
take
don't
out
you?
my insect repellent, my greasy self, and just kind of getting all the exposed skin.
You are shown to a large grate in the floor. This alleyway is like gullied towards to have rainwater collect down. About the size of it's a fairly large one, to be honest. Like maybe about as broad as Ximori's shoulders. You'll have a little bit of squeeze getting through the grate, but it does seem to open up underneath Ximori. You can spy. Anyway, it gets dark relatively quickly. Quickly just kind of throws the key down, unlocks the padlock, lifts it up. Right, well, make yourself known when you're back up and needing this thing to be unlocked. I will be locking it behind you just to make sure no one else opens it and falls into the sewer, because God knows I don't need that on my conscience. Or
Could we
damn
maybe get a
paperwork.
key? I don't like.
No, this is the only key, and I'm not.
Oh, I don't like enclosed spaces.
Just scream loudly if you're desperate. I won't be far. Right. Well, good luck.
Thank you. Right.
Small recommendation. Maybe not any open flames down there.
Yeah, it's
What do
probably
we do to see?
I don't know.
Well, that's why I got these.
Oh yeah, you have a lantern.
That's that ball. The closed lantern.
Prepared. I appreciate it.
For you, Togrim. Yeah.
Respect.
And one for you, Togrim. And Tauri, you want the other one?
Sure. Thank you.
Leaves the rest of us with our hands free,
Fair enough. You.
As soon as they step inside, she's gonna start holding her breath. I don't know how long half elves can hold their breath for,
What's your
but
constitution modifier?
+2.
2 minutes. 3 minutes.
Got it.
1 plus con mod.
1 plus
I
1.
will take a breath once every 3 minutes.
As a note, have you ever tried to hold your breath for 3 minutes?
No, I can't hold a breath more than half a
Ridiculous.
minute.
Rules are insane. Anyway, who?
But you can hold it 1 plus your con mod.
Yeah, according to D&D rules.
Lesley is also
I know,
holding his
man,
breath for
5
3
minutes.
minutes.
I can hold mine for 5 minutes. I also don't need to breathe.
It meant that it genuinely would mean that Throngi would be one of the world's best freedivers.
Yeah, because he can hold it for 6 minutes.
If he gets to level
Here's
20,
the
he can hold it for 8.
Which
I
is
can
like, that's the
technically-
level of them guys that live, like, that's proper
Yeah.
Helldive, isn't it? That's like proper.
I can
Plus,
technically
Thungi
hold my
would
breath
just
for
go
5
into a
minutes.
rage and be taking and just go longer because he's stubborn.
Who is leading the excursion down the rung ladder into the...
I'll lead. I got us this. Only seems fair.
Yeah,
Who's
this
last?
Is Ximori's bit. I'll go last. Just to kind of, Lesley and Aderyn presumably are like trying to be last, and Balrick's like, nope, you're going in.
No, I actually think the winner of the front, trying to get this over with as quickly as physically possible.
Okay.
I'm walking very slowly. I'm like,
Okay, I lied.
Aderyn's having an earthquake.
I'm
Lesley
walking,
is going to try and finish this.
trying to minimize a splash up to the ankle.
Anyway, as you enter the sewer and head down the iron rungs damp with moisture, bits of moss, slime, and some things you would rather not identify, your boots splash down into a stone sewer tunnel at the end of this ladder, down the centre of which a foot-deep flow of water and effluent lazily moves towards the harbour, and you find yourself standing on a thin ledge that runs along the side, leading into the darkness away from you. And I think there is a decent place for us to stop. As the 6 of you have entered the sewers as part of your community service, as part of Tianlong, and the damp darkness around you and the faint dripping of water from the ceiling, slime, and things rustling about in the flowing water. We will zoom away and pick up our story again next time. But until then, see you later. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the Empire, other stories are too being written. Upstream of the Near Harnine River, in the capital of the Brecklian Fields, the ceramic white gauntlet of Bakonos, the charismatic leader of the Rings of Karakash, smites down another grey-skinned Fey gremlin. With the infestation of Darklings eradicated from the city's grain stores, the devout followers of the Jadenite Church caught up in the religious festival flock to the banners of the extremist religious sect and take heed of their rhetoric. Scores of those who have fled the fires in the fields find a new purpose in the true doctrine of Manaz, and many adopt the tattooed rings of their new devotion. Elsewhere, figures gather beneath a star of night, seeking comfort and guidance from others who too have felt the same pain of loss. Understanding, camaraderie, and bonds are forged across class and cultural lines, and a few whisper tales of a returning king who will right the wrongs done to the people and provide mercy for all those who have suffered. One figure stands before them all and speaks to them, of a guiding angel in the night that provides both answers and hope that they can be reunited once again. 4 horsemen in black ride the roads of the Eastern Empire, the tools of their trade marking their station and intent to all who bear witness to them. Their goal? To find the dangerous arcanists within this region that have threatened the safety of the good people of the Empire on multiple occasions, and to extend to them the justice of the Officio Arcanum. They undertake harsh questioning of tired refugees seeking any sign of their quarry's passage. Rumours of an incendiary event at a loggers' camp a few miles outside of Girdothras provide them with a new lead, and they hastily spur their steeds east. And amongst it all, a tall, elegant figure wistfully ambles up the main street of San Roykar, their delicate fingers gently tuning the strings of a charcoal black fiddle, and a cloak of autumn wind rests upon their shoulders. They survey the gathered people conducting their religious festivities and repairing a burnt-down house for the community. A young child runs up to the figure, eyes trained on the beautiful instrument. "Are you going to be performing for the Mother above, sir?" The figure turns to the small child. "Perhaps this evening. I'm still tuning my instrument for now, but I do have a song in mind." There is a whisper of a lullaby upon their lips and a spark of flame in their eye as Amhrain smiles and continues walking.